a senior logistics flow manager for Peak Parcel Services, a major player in regional shipping and warehousing. 38 years old, 2 decades in this industry. I know every bolt on every conveyor, every glitch in every system, every shortcut, and every single rule written in blood, sweat, or legal fees. My job is to make sure millions of packages move from point A to point B, on time, intact, and efficiently. I am the quiet gears in the machine, ensuring everything spins without breaking. Be not me, Brenda Sterling, the new district manager. Mid-40s, always impeccably dressed in power suits that look out of place on the warehouse floor. Hair pulled back so tight it seems to be actively trying to escape her scalp. A forced smile, plastered on, never reaching her eyes. Brenda arrived 6 months ago, fresh from a consulting firm with 0 practical logistics experience. Her primary skill set appears to be micromanagement and an uncanny ability to generate bad ideas. She once demanded a doctor's note because a forklift operator took an unscheduled 5-minute bathroom break. The entire team knew she was trouble from day one. I knew she was a catastrophe waiting for a place to happen. My first encounter with Brenda's brilliance was about the daily equipment safety checks. Every morning, before any machinery moves, my team performs a comprehensive 30-point inspection on all forklifts, pallet jacks, and conveyor systems. It's an industry standard, mandated by internal policy and external regulations like OSHA. It takes 15 minutes per machine. Brenda decided this was unnecessary overhead and instructed me to reduce it to a 5-point visual check, cutting the time by 2/3. "We need to maximize operational uptime, John," she'd said, tapping perfectly manicured nails on my desk. "Every minute counts." I calmly explained that skipping those checks directly violates both company policy and federal safety regulations. A single overlooked hydraulic leak or faulty brake line could lead to severe injury, even fatality, I stated. And the fines, Brenda, could cripple our quarter, not to mention the legal repercussions for the company and for anyone who approved the change. She scoffed. "You're always so focused on hypothetical problems. We need to be proactive, not reactive to ghosts." I pulled up the Occupational Safety and Health Administration guidelines on my screen and highlighted the relevant section, along with our own internal policy document, signed by the CEO himself. She glared, her smile tightening. "Fine, for now, but I expect you to find efficiencies elsewhere, John. Don't be a blocker to progress." She walked away, leaving behind a lingering scent of expensive perfume and thinly veiled contempt. I filed a brief email to my own manager, carbon copied to legal, confirming the incident and my adherence to policy. Just in case. A few weeks later, Brenda decided to optimize our outbound manifest process. These manifests are critical documents, detailing every package, its destination, weight, and special handling instructions. They are reconciled against physical scans, client invoices, and freight schedules right up until the truck pulls out, a process that takes meticulous attention over several hours. Brenda's idea? Pre-approve all manifests 3 hours before truck departure to give the loading crew clearer instructions earlier. This meant skipping the final, crucial reconciliation against the actual loaded cargo, which often has last-minute changes or discrepancies. "Brenda, that's a direct recipe for misrouting and billing errors," I explained, trying to keep my voice even. "We often have final adjustments for weight, dimensions, even destination changes right up to the last minute. If we pre-approve, we're guaranteeing discrepancies." She waved a dismissive hand. "Nonsense. Your team just needs to be more precise. This will streamline the entire operation. Trust me, John, I understand efficiency." I tried to explain the logistical reality, the thousands of packages moving, the variables, the human element. "We'll be sending trucks out with manifests that don't match their cargo," I warned. "We'll be shipping pharmaceuticals to textile factories, and textile factories will receive urgent medical supplies. The financial penalties and reputational damage would be immense." She cut me off. "You're just resistant to change. This is the new policy. Execute it, John. Report back on the efficiencies." I didn't argue further. I sent an email to Brenda, confirming her instruction to change the manifest procedure, outlining my concerns, and noting the potential for errors. I copied my operational lead, Steve, who immediately called me to express his disbelief and worry. I told him to document everything, every discrepancy, every override. The final straw before the real storm involved a critical cold chain shipment of specialty enzymes. These enzymes required constant refrigeration within a very narrow temperature range. Their contract specified direct routing to a regional distribution hub to minimize transit time and temperature fluctuations. Brenda discovered a slightly cheaper, but significantly longer, route that involved a secondary transfer at a much larger general-purpose sorting facility known for its slower turnaround times. "We can save $300 on this shipment, John," she exclaimed, beaming at her spreadsheet. "Think of the quarterly savings if we apply this across the board." I felt a vein throbbing in my temple. Brenda, the contract with Alphagen Pharmaceuticals explicitly states direct routing for these enzymes. Any deviation voids our guarantee and, more importantly, risks the integrity of their product. "Product integrity, product integrity," she muttered. "It's just enzymes. They'll be fine. A little chillier for longer." "Brenda," I said, trying to contain my frustration, "these aren't just enzymes. They are critical components for medical research. They degrade rapidly outside their specified temperature range. If they arrive compromised, Alphagen could lose millions, and they will absolutely come after us for breach of contract, product damage, and consequential losses." I pulled out the Alphagen contract and pointed to the penalty clauses. They were brutal. She scanned it quickly, her smile fading. "This is ridiculous. Such inflexibility. You're always finding reasons not to innovate, John." She backed down, but the incident reinforced her view of me as an impediment, not a safeguard. I logged the incident, the proposed change, and her eventual retraction, timestamped, into our internal communications platform. My paper trail was growing. The real breaking point arrived with Project Nightingale. Brenda had been approached by a flashy tech vendor selling a revolutionary, new dynamic routing algorithm system. It promised a 20% increase in package sorting efficiency and a drastic reduction in misroutes, all through AI-driven optimization. It was expensive, untested at our scale, and frankly, sounded too good to be true. Our existing system, while older, was robust, reliable, and understood by every single person on the floor. It worked. Brenda, however, was enchanted by the vendor's presentation. She saw her golden ticket. She announced, with no prior consultation with anyone in operations, that Project Nightingale would be fully deployed across our entire facility for peak week. Peak week, for peak parcel services, is the busiest 7 days of the year, usually around the end of November. It's when we handle 400% of our usual volume. It's absolute chaos, even with a perfectly calibrated system. To deploy an untested system during peak week was not just risky, it was suicidal. I scheduled an urgent meeting. "Brenda, this is a terrible idea," I began without preamble. "We need a phased rollout for Nightingale, a pilot program on a single, small line for a month, then gradually expand. It needs to be calibrated, integrated, and thoroughly tested before it handles even 10% of our normal volume, let alone peak week levels." I laid out the facts. Inadequate staff training on the new interface, insufficient hardware upgrades for the massive data processing required, and known bugs in the initial software billed from the vendor's own documentation. If this fails during peak week, Brenda, we're looking at millions of packages misrouted, missed deadlines, spoiled goods, and catastrophic financial losses. We could lose major contracts. Our reputation would be in tatters. Brenda leaned back, a smug expression on her face. "John, you are simply afraid of progress. This is the future. Project Nightingale will elevate peak parcel services to a new level. It's cutting edge." "It's cutting us," I countered. "The risk profile is unacceptable. Our current system, while not as flashy, is proven." "Your proven system is antiquated," she scoffed. "I've reviewed the projected metrics. Nightingale will deliver. I am mandating its full, immediate deployment for peak week. And your target, John, is 99.8% on-time delivery using Nightingale. No excuses. Any failure is a failure of your operational leadership. She then added, furthermore, during peak week deployment, I want all non-essential error flagging and quality assurance checks for Nightingale temporarily suspended. We need to prioritize throughput. Get those packages moving. My heart sank, but a cold, calculating resolve settled over me. This was it. This was the catastrophic decision I had been dreading. This was the moment I stopped trying to prevent the disaster and started preparing to survive it. I went into read-only mode. No more arguments. No more futile attempts to reason with an unreasonable person. From that moment on, every single interaction with Brenda Sterling was meticulously documented, confirmed, and cross-referenced. It became my master plan, my weapon. First, I sent an email to Brenda, formally acknowledging her directive for Project Nightingale's full deployment during peak week, confirming your instruction, Brenda, to deploy Project Nightingale across all operational lines for peak week, November 20-27, with a target of 99.8% on-time delivery. Also confirming your instruction to suspend non-essential error flagging and QA checks for the duration to prioritize throughput. I copied no one, to avoid tipping her off that I was building a case. She replied, correct. Glad you're on board, John. I saved that email with extreme prejudice. Next, I meticulously went through the employee handbook, the company's operational bylaws, and my own employment contract. I highlighted clauses on negligence, dereliction of duty, gross mismanagement, and specifically, a section regarding willful disregard for established safety and operational protocols leading to financial or reputational damage. My internal monologue was a mantra. Every word, every instruction, every warning documented. I set up an encrypted folder on my secure work drive, inaccessible to others, but easily downloadable to a flash drive if needed. Into it went 1. Email chains. Every single one of Brenda's directives, particularly those overriding my professional recommendations, with my formal acknowledgement and outlined concerns. 2. Meeting minutes. Every meeting where I voiced concerns about Nightingale's deployment, where Brenda dismissed them, and her exact words. I had always taken detailed minutes. Now I ensured they were time-stamped and digitally signed. 3. Vendor documentation. The Project Nightingale vendor's own installation guide, which clearly stated minimum testing periods and phase deployment recommendations. I highlighted the parts Brenda had ignored. 4. Internal incident reports. I drafted a series of template incident reports, pre-filled with anticipated failure categories for Nightingale. Misrouted package high value, expired perishable due to routing delay, system crash sorting line, customer contract violation, all ready to be deployed instantly. 5. Staff communications, all internal memos to my team regarding Nightingale training or lack thereof, and Brenda's instructions to prioritize speed over accuracy. 6. Witness statements informal. I subtly engaged trusted team leads, asking them to remember our conversations about Nightingale, about their own concerns and Brenda's dismissals. I didn't ask them to lie. I just ensured they would be able to honestly recall what had transpired. 7. System logs and screenshots. I set up automatic capture of system logs related to Nightingale's initial errors during its pre-deployment week. Screenshots of early misroutes that Brenda had told us to ignore for now. Time-stamped photos of uncalibrated scanners. System error messages that were supposed to be fixed. The environment in the warehouse during this period was tense. My team knew. They felt the unease, the impending doom. They saw Brenda's bluster and my sudden, quiet compliance. They knew I wasn't just rolling over. I maintained a stoic demeanor. My instructions to them were simple. Follow Brenda's directives precisely. Do not deviate. Document every single error generated by Nightingale. Report every delay, every misroute, every system glitch, regardless of how minor. Submit those reports immediately to me. Do not question, just comply. It was an army preparing for a battle they knew they would lose, but with a different objective. Not to win, but to document the defeat flawlessly. My team understood. They were loyal, and they were tired of Brenda. Peak week arrived with the predictable fury of a Category 5 hurricane. Project Nightingale, unleashed upon our massive package volume, became a digital Chernobyl. Chaos erupted within hours. The promised AI optimization turned into a catastrophic guessing game. Millions of packages were misrouted. Urgent medical supplies for a major hospital system were sent to a textile factory in a different state. Perishable seafood, contracted for same-day delivery, was routed to a facility 3 states away, sitting in an uncooled bay for 36 hours. High-value electronics were shuffled endlessly between sorting hubs, their tracking data a maddening loop of in-transit. Our customer service lines melted down. The digital tracking system, fed bad data by Nightingale, became useless. Trucks sat idle, waiting for manifests that were either incorrect or non-existent. Our loading docks became scenes of utter pandemonium. The financial losses mounted by the hour. Reputational damage became incalculable. Brenda, initially triumphant, quickly descended into a frantic panic. She stormed onto the floor, her face pale, eyes wide. "John, what is going on here? Why aren't these packages moving?" I met her in the central office, where the screens flickered with red alerts. My team, exhausted but resolute, continued to log every failure. "Brenda," I said, my voice calm, almost unnervingly so amidst the cacophony of alarms and frustrated shouts. "This is precisely what I warned you about." She stammered, then her face hardened, defaulting to her usual blame-shifting. "This is a failure of your operational oversight, John. You were supposed to make this work. Your team is incompetent." I stepped forward, my voice cutting through the noise. "Brenda, let's be very clear about whose failure this is." I opened my laptop, connected it to the large monitor in the office, and brought up the encrypted folder. "Here," I began, each word a hammer blow, "is your email dated October 12th, overriding my recommendation for a phased rollout of Project Nightingale and mandating its full deployment for peak week." I showed the email, her unambiguous correct. "Glad you're on board, John." Her eyes widened slightly. She tried to interrupt. "That's not and here," I continued, ignoring her, "are the meeting minutes from October 15th, where I detailed the massive risks of skipping crucial QA and integration testing, and you explicitly dismissed them, stating I was afraid of progress and antiquated." The time-stamped document glowed on the screen. "Furthermore, Brenda," I pressed on, "here is your signed directive, dated October 20th, mandating a 99.8% on-time delivery target with an untried system, and specifically instructing us to prioritize throughput over accuracy and to temporarily suspend non-essential error flagging and QA checks for Nightingale during peak week." The document, bearing her digital signature, was irrefutable. "And finally," I concluded, bringing up a scroll of hundreds of detailed, time-stamped incident reports from my team, each referencing a specific Nightingale-induced failure. "Here are the daily reports, submitted diligently by my team since November 20th, flagging every single critical error, misroute, and system crash generated by Project Nightingale. Errors we were explicitly instructed to work around rather than halt the system for." I clicked through some of the reports, showing photos of mislabeled pallets, tracking screenshots of impossible routes, and the escalating customer complaints. "We followed your instructions to the letter, Brenda, every single one." Brenda stood frozen, her face pale, her forced smile gone, replaced by a look of sheer terror. She had no response. Her words caught in her throat. The trap was sprung. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. Within an hour, word had reached upper management. The vice president of operations, flanked by 2 lawyers from corporate, descended upon our facility like an avenging storm. They reviewed my documented evidence, listening to my calm, factual account and watching Brenda squirm. Brenda's attempts to deflect blame were met with a cold, hard stare from the VP. My evidence was too overwhelming, too meticulously organized. "Brenda Sterling," the VP stated, his voice low and dangerous, "you are hereby placed on immediate administrative leave, effective immediately, pending a full internal investigation. Please pack your personal belongings. Security will escort you out." She was gone within the hour, a hushed, ignominious exit. My team watched her walk out, a quiet sense of triumph in their weary eyes. I was left to manage the colossal mess project Nightingale had created. It would take weeks, maybe months, to untangle. But at least now, I had the authority to do it properly. Update 1 3 weeks later. The internal investigation concluded swiftly and mercilessly. Brenda Sterling was terminated for gross negligence, willful disregard for established company policy, and direct actions that led to significant financial and reputational damage for Peak Parcel Services. The legal department is now actively pursuing a civil lawsuit against her for breach of her employment contract and recovery of a portion of the millions in losses incurred during peak week. I have been given full authority to dismantle Project Nightingale and restore our proven operational systems with a blank check for resources. The air in the warehouse feels lighter. Update 2 months later. The legal battles for Brenda are not going well. Peak Parcel Services has filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against her, and several major clients, including Alphagen Pharmaceuticals, have joined a class action suit, citing her direct instructions as the cause for their own losses. Her assets are being frozen. Meanwhile, I've been formally promoted to District Operations Manager, Brenda's old job, but with a new mandate from the VP. Implement robust testing protocols and ensure no single individual can unilaterally override established safety and operational procedures again. My first order of business was to shred every single copy of Project Nightingale documentation I could find. Update 3 6 months later. Brenda Sterling is a ghost. The lawsuits utterly decimated her. She declared personal bankruptcy, lost her expensive house, her fancy car, and her entire career. I heard through the grapevine she's working as an overnight shelf stocker at a big box retail store, miles away from any logistics hub. A fitting end for someone who despised unnecessary overhead and antiquated systems. My new team, under my leadership, is thriving. Our systems are efficient, our packages are moving, and our clients are happy. And you know what? We still do our full 30-point safety checks every single morning. Every minute truly does count.